Hey guys, finally sitting down and showing you how I am doing my top-down 2D with Unreal Engine 5. First of all, any new project you're going to start where you're trying to do 2D, if you come to your plugins, edit, plugins, you will enable Paper 2D and you'll want to download and enable the Paper ZD plugin. This is Unreal's implementation, which has very base functionality. PaperZD allows anim blueprints to further extend, much like with a regular 3D third-person animation blueprint. So enable both of those for your project and restart Unreal. On your character blueprint, you can lay your sprite flat. So you can go to blueprint, and now you have a Paper ZD character. So you want to create Paper ZD character and Paper ZD anim blueprints, and that will give you the base functionality here with a sprite. Now you already have the option to add more sprites as well through components here. So you can add a component and build your own custom class and add your own sprite components. You don't have to use the Paper ZD. You can add these components afterwards. You see I've added slots here for other layered gear on my character. So you have full customizability, especially if you use C++. So to start with something static. To set my layering, a lot of you want to know how I'm doing the 2D layering. I really overcomplicated this when I first started figuring it out. So with something static like a tree, this is because I have a flipbook animating the tree, but this is the magic here. This is what you need to worry about. With something static, I would call this at begin play. So get actor location. You can, if you look here, you can, I'll combine this real quick. Starts like this. You can split your struct pin. We only need the y-axis. Truncate it to an integer. That is what we're setting our new translucent sort priority to with the set translucent sort priority. You make sure it targets your sprite, which I also have a flipbook that I'm using, which is just layered on top of that. It's that y plus 1. So with this, anything above on the y-axis, you like I said, you lay everything flat, so you got x, y. Anything above you on the y-axis is going to draw behind you. Anything below you on the y-axis is going to draw in front of you, based on my sort priority. I do this for every object. Now, something dynamic like the player, if you look over here, it's set draw order. The only difference is, besides the fact that I have clothing that I layer, don't worry about that. It sets the translucent sort priority. The only difference is I do it on tick. So every tick I'm setting my draw order and then drawing my equipment by frame to base on my sprite animation for the base character. So that's pretty much it on that. Whatever your y-axis is, if you're something that moves around, like my enemy classes, they move around, so every tick they're setting their translucent sort priority to whatever their y-axis is. To begin with, I had a layer system where I was like, layer 1 will be just this, layer 2 will be just this. I just threw that out the door and started using the y-axis, and it kind of keeps up with itself in just this. It's a little buggy. I haven't quite figured out, you know, I'm still learning and expanding on this, so bear with me. If you guys have a better idea, please let me know. This is just what I figured out for now. I'm definitely open to new ideas. If anybody else has a better way to do this, leave a comment. Let me know. So again, the character draws his draw order on tick. For the animation stuff, like I said, you have states. With Paper ZD, you have states, just like with any 3D character on Unreal. The character has booleans, loads of booleans here for different states he's in. And that is all I've referenced here. The character has a reference here. I use it for all of this. So if you're hurt, you can enter this transition. And then the character set's not hurt, so he leaves this transition. It goes back to his previous transition as soon as you're not hurt. So that's the gist of that. All of this stuff here has variables that tell it when it can and can't go into these states. This doesn't, I was just playing with that. And he, you know, is not alive. You have a variable in my health component that I've made. If he's not alive, he enters the death transition. Just normally, just like any other animation state. Okay. The difference is animation itself. Okay, so directionality. With Paper ZD, you have these set directionality nodes. Every frame, these tick. Your joystick inputs and your directional inputs, your axis inputs from your keyboard or mouse, whatever. Every tick that updates a directional state. Okay, so move up and down. I set it to a direction state, set previous direction state to the same thing. Okay, this is just basically your axial input. If you see here, -1, 1, -1, 1. Your animation blueprints, the animations will pull from an anim source. So you create this anim source. Right click, animation. I forget where it's at. Paper ZD. Alright, so Paper ZD has its own section here. It's where you're going to get your Paper ZD anim blueprint, your animation source. Alright, so you'll create that new animation source. And then here's where you'll put your animation sequences. So you'll create animation sequences, which will be plugged in here. You'll see multi-directional sequence. You can click each direction here, select which direction for your sprite, select each sprite for each direction. Okay, you do that for all of your animations. And then once you plug in that animation, it instantly sets your directionality as it outputs the animation. So you can see here, here I'm checking if there's no direction state, no input, it does a certain animation. Idle or move. Idle or move, combat. Okay, yeah, so this just sets it to the previous direction state if I stop moving, so it doesn't fuck with my animations. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much the gist of that. You set your directional animations, you set your animations directionality based off a variable here. And I'm going to be doing a more detailed video on all of this. I'm going to basically redo all this from the ground up for you guys. So stay tuned and remember to subscribe. Check out more videos I'm going to have coming out. I did have this axial locked movement, but I didn't like it where you could only move in one direction. It didn't feel right with the controller. Maybe I can tweak the variables a little bit. This right now gives you diagonal movement and stores the directional state. Works for keyboard or joypad. Disarms my character. The interact system that I have, you guys. If you want to see how I do that, I'll do a video tutorial on that. Anything that I interact with adds it to an array, sends the interact message to it. I'll do a video on that. Let's see what I've got going here. So I normally have a theme song playing here. I got tired of hearing it, so I muted it. I have level streaming, so there's a real loading screens. Everything is functional. I've got all my menus set up, inventory and pause. My inventory. This is all placeholder images and stuff, so I know everything's a little tacky looking. Bear with me. I can use things. I can drag and stack things. Little holographic image behind the mouse when you're dragging items. We've got chests working. Audio's a little buggy. See my trees animate a little bit. For collision, somebody asked about collision. So the collision, when I'm importing my sprites, I set the collision to be just the base. And then the x-axis determines whether I draw behind it or in front of it. Same thing with pretty much everything. So this. I have potions I've made now. This is just a basic item. Now that I have these made, I can copy this and pretty much do any interactable item consumable. You can only pick up the ones that are in your area and store them in a chest if I want. Come back for those later. Made this shader for my roofs. We're using that on all of my interiors. See, now that I'm above the y-axis at the base of this wall, I draw behind it and come down, but I have collision drawn at just the bottom edge of the sprite, so I can come down behind it to the bottom. I haven't got a good floor sprite yet, so this floor has always been a little glitchy. See, the collision box is just at the bottom of the wall, just at the bottom of the door. Alright, so I have diagonal movement. I gotta adjust the animation speeds and all still a little bit, but this is just a base warrior class that I made. Plan on possibly doing a couple of caster classes, maybe a caster class and like a ranger class. I don't know. I'm going to be doing more videos of a devlog style where it's just stuff based on the development of this little game that I'm making. As of now, the working title is The Hidden Crown. More info, I'll have more info on that later. See, their directionalities are all based on which direction they're moving, which I had to do math to do all that. Again, I'll show you more of this stuff in some more detailed videos later on. They spawn at a certain point. Use a potion. They spawn at a certain point and they will patrol that area, but they won't leave it. Only chase me so far and then they'll run. They've got the floating numbers, floating damage numbers. I did that the other day. This is just a temporary health bar graphic. I was following along with a video on YouTube doing these health bars, showing me how to do the shaders for the damage. So I'm going to end up changing those images. That was just the base image they gave me. If there's anything else that you guys are wondering that I didn't show you, just leave a comment below and let me know. If there's anything that I didn't say enough about, just let me know in the comments. And if you guys think what I'm working on is pretty cool, just